And Dr. Goodwin told me a little bit about what's been going on. So it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I mean, I've gone over it so many times.
You don't have to tell me the details. How's this sound?
Yeah.
Let me come up with like the things that I'm assuming you want to talk about, and then you can kind of fill in any important details. I don't know. I don't need to know everything. Dr. Goodwin did a really good job of kind of giving me an idea. Here are the big takeaways that I think are important to talk about. You're moving to LA.
Yep.
In a month and some change.
50 days.
Hell yeah. Where in LA are you going to be moving to?
Up in the air right now. Probably, I used to live in Echo Park, so probably Echo Park again.
Cool. I love it there. I lived in Southern California for a long time. So
we're in Southern California.
I lived in Orange County for 7 years.
Orange County's cool. I mean, it's just sort of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're like into like car culture,
that is a huge part of it.
It's,
I will tell you, I learned how to surf.
Yeah.
I went to ska shows, and I went to punk shows, and I went to LA a lot.
I mean, I've been going back and forth between New York and LA for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I just always, like New York's New York. There's like, it's
its own thing.
Yeah, it's like, New York's awesome, and it's just sort of like, I think it took about 10 years to kind of sort of get into like appreciating Los Angeles, but then you like, once you sort of figure out, like, because it's like in New York, like everything's so accessible and like so many people, and it's just so somebody can like tell you like, oh, go to this restaurant,
and
like,
yeah. 2 seconds. Yeah.
Or like, but in LA, it's like it just took a while to like find places, and then it was the whole like, the first couple of years I remember like, we moved to Echo Park, and I walked to they don't call them bodegas, but I walked to the corner store or whatever, which was at the bottom of the hill, and I got back, and my friend was like, where did you go? And I was like, I walked to like the store, and she's like, why? And I was like, because it was like at the bottom of the hill. Yeah, totally. And then about a year later, like everybody else, I found myself driving 2 blocks.
Exactly. No, I 2 of the years I lived there, I had no car, which was
that's gonna be crazy,
hilarious, and like I rode my bike to work every day. I'd meet people at a bar and be like, I'd ask them where they are, and they're like, I live here. And I'm like, I will never see you again. Like, there's just no version of the world where I will be there.
It's just, yeah, it's really crazy. It's like once like Echo Park and Silver Lake, you can kind of like get around there. Yeah. But it's like if somebody lives down in like Venice or Santa Monica, it was just like maybe once a year. Or like the company that I worked for at the time their office was in Santa Monica, and I was living in Echo Park, and it was just like 5 miles, 2 hours.
Yep. The way I've always talked to people about LA is like, it's very possible to have a very nice life there.
Totally.
But you really have to set it up in a way like,
it's routine.
Exactly. And you have to make sure you've got a place that's near things that you like, and you're not like doing the like hour drive just to get to like the places that you like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's one of those things. As I got older too, I sort of just realized like, especially when I was like, wow, I just sort of like stick to my neighborhood, even in New York. You know what I mean? So
no, and that's what happens. Well, so you're moving.
Yep.
And it looks like one of the things Dr. Goodwin wanted me to talk to you about was sort of coming up with a plan for your Oxy. And coming up with a plan for sort of like a transition or a taper or what exactly.
Yeah.
So before we talk about that, I want to make a list of things.
Okay.
Just to make sure we don't miss anything.
Of course.
So that's thing number 1.
Cool.
I think thing number 2 was just making sure you have refills on your Adderall.
Adderall and the medication I use for my rosacea.
Which is the metronidazole gel,
and
the hydrocortisone cream, and the foam, the Elazaic acid.
Yeah, the hydrocortisone cream. I got a rash from boxers, from elastic. So
Happens.
And it's just sort of persistent, so I'm still kind of battling that.
And you just wear no underwear, and
I mean, in LA, I'm sure it's like totally like a thing, But here in New York, you got to wear underwear. It's just it would be unsanitary to sit on the train.
So my big thing was kind of just refills and talking about the Oxy. That was kind of the big stuff. I don't need the details of the Oxy. I don't need stuff like that, but. Is that about all we need to talk about today?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of, Propecia, I need to get a refill for that.
Refills of all your meds, we'll say.
Okay, great. Yeah, the Propecia, we do like 90 days or whatever. Yep. It's, I've been able to hang on to this much hair, which it's not a lot, but I'm still just kind of trying, which is a lot better than my father and my grandfather.
The 40s, the 40s, they happen.
It's
they don't stop.
It's like one of those things. I think last time I was with Dr. Goodwin, we were talking about Elon Musk's hair transplant, which is like super crazy. But so they just take follicles and like put them.
I've read about this. I still find it terrifying, and also like, I think what they do is they take follicles and then bunch them together,
like skin graft almost. Right?
Yeah, I think so. It just seems a little sci-fi to me.
It seems crazy. Like from what I read, like it was like they were like taking it like from like your leg or whatever, and then like finding areas in between, like we didn't know where the follicles had died, and then like
boosting them or something. Yeah.
Just like, this is insane.
Yeah.
But Propitia's doing all right.
So let's talk about your meds first,
cool.
Or your oxy. So why don't you tell me just what are you taking now? What is your plan? And then let's kind of discuss kind of what are the possibilities based on what you tell me.
I take twice a day now, which is awesome. And I'd like to do that like throughout this month. Mm-hmm. So basically like into November, I'd like to stick with what I'm on. And then in November, what we've done in the past, I don't know why I always say this, but did you ever see that movie Super Size Me?
Mm-hmm.
That was my doctor for like 20
really
years. Yeah, Dr. Isaacs. So he's awesome. He's such a trip. But the whole waiting room is just like photos of like him and like Keith Richards and like Andy Warhol and shit. It's
this sounds like the most LA thing I could imagine.
It's really weirdly in New York. Like do you know who Spencer Tunick is?
I don't.
You've probably seen his photographs. He's an artist. He would take photographs in New York where you've probably seen it was like Park Avenue with like 500 people who are all naked lying in the street.
Oh yeah.
That's Spencer Tunick. So it's like basically all of his clients were like artists. So like the whole waiting room is just like all these great photographs, and then him doing crazy things. But
I totally know. He does naked everywhere.
Yeah. It was. It's cool. I mean, it's sort of kind of one of those things where you see it once and you're like,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, totally. But when we like with him, we've always just done it where like, I guess you would sort of call it like a taper off, where like he would give me the oxycodone that I was taking, and then also something that was like less. Does that make sense? Like something that wasn't like as intense.
Oh, you mean like a less strong?
Yeah. And so that way I could like sort of stagger them when I felt like it, and then sort of just move off of it. It's just one of those things where it is every disc in my lower back is herniated, which hurts. I don't know. That's what I've done for 20 years. It's just sort of like. I just never really wanted to get or be reliant on something, if that makes sense.
And it happened.
What's that?
And it happened.
What's that?
Being reliant. Like there's a level, like it doesn't mean you're reliant forever, but it means there is a level of, like, if there wasn't a level of reliance, you would just stop.
Well, it's not really reliance. It's sort of just like, it helps. It's like when something like...
I mean, I say I'm reliant on my shoes to walk around New York City. I don't need it, but like.
But it's like I would think of like reliant would be like all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just for me. It's always just. I mean, it's been 20 years of back pain, so it's always just like on it for a certain amount of time until it's like, okay, cool. It's like getting to a place and then off of it. Like.
So you've tapered before?
Like 1,000 times. I mean, it's just.
What's the longest taper you've had?
It usually takes like a month or two to sort of like go off the meds, and then if you do it too abruptly, you can re-injure yourself, which I've done before.
Well, what I mean by taper yourself, what's the longest time you've been off of the oxy?
I mean, like I could go a year or two. It's just one of those things where back pain's unreliable. It's just the best way to put it.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I think that the worst it was ever was I was in the shower and I turned and
just the wrong way, and it just.
I ended up on the floor. I was on the floor for about an hour and a half, so I could crawl to my phone. I called Dr. Isaacs, and then we debated whether it was going to be like an ambulance thing or if I was like going to be able to wait I think a couple hours later I was able to get in a cab.
Okay.
But
So I think the questions I have for someone in your situation is, it sounds to me like your plan is to be off of your medicine by the time you get to LA, or be at least
halfway off
somewhere where, and then my question is when you get to LA, do you have a doctor lined up, or do you have a person lined up that would be just in case you're unsuccessful or feel like you need more medicine? Do you have something like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have Dr. Isaac sort of
same person.
me. Yeah, he's gonna I'll just basically ask for a referral for somebody out there,
Oh,
which is just not that I don't trust you or whatever. It's just my
but this is why I'm asking, because it's like when people do cross country moves, I always look at the most basic things. It's not is this going to work or not? It's like, okay, where exactly are you going to live?
Yeah.
Do you have insurance?
Yeah.
What are that's going to be my next question.
Yeah.
What's your insurance situation?
They gave me Medicaid right now, so I'll just switch it over. That's why I'm not at Dr. Isaac's right now.
Okay.
So, but I'll just sort of switch that over when I transition.
Do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
The internet.
I only ask because some people are not that good at things, and some people are very good at things. And again, I've had people move from California here and be like, "What do you mean my Medicaid doesn't work?" And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
I mean, the internet's pretty.
No, it has it all
awesome.
there.
Yeah, you can go to sort of just go and kind of go through it.
As a doctor, we mostly work with people in their 50s to 70s, and we're now starting to get these because I mostly work with old people, and so it's they just don't have that. And as people our age start to get older, I'm so fucking excited because they're just gonna be able to figure shit out.
Yeah, it's that, and honestly, how we ended up with the two different medications for rosacea was ChatGPT. Because I was using the acid stuff and it wasn't working, and we were trying everything, so I just asked ChatGPT and it came up with a list, and then we sat here and went through it.
So I think it sounds to me like you've got your plan. I'm willing to go with it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say my piece, which is a couple of things, which is one, I think you've said all the things that make me confident that you're going to be just fine with what your plan is. I don't really think we need to change anything.
Cool.
As a doctor, it's kind of my job to provide some advice.
Yeah.
I think my major pieces of advice will be, one, at least considering buprenorphine or Suboxone at some point.
What's that?
So this is a medicine. It's an opiate. It's a partial opiate, and so it is basically considered a lot safer in terms of overdose risk, in terms of becoming dependent and becoming tolerant. It's mostly used for people who are addicted to heroin and transitioning them off, but it's also used for people who are on Oxy and their doctors are cutting them off.
How do I spell it?
BUP. How does this sound? I'll put it in the paperwork.
Oh, I can.
BUPREN. ORPHINE. PHINE. And so the main reason I bring this up is because this is a medicine that doctors are much more comfortable prescribing without question.
Yeah.
There's very rarely the whole oh my God, Oxy, we got to taper you off. And your dose is so low, I wouldn't give a shit, but some doctors do.
Yeah.
And I think you walking in here and one of the first things you says is I don't want to tell my whole story again, which that's what happens with medicines like Oxy. Is you're sort of in this, I have to hold my hat and be please doctor, my story is this. And so I'm just putting that out there, something for you to research.
Yeah.
Because it is something that is overall safer. And there are doctors out there that will just not continue Oxy.
Yeah, totally.
For your dose, it's one thing if someone's coming to me on 120 a day or 90 a day, but with your dose, I would be very comfortable just continuing you or doing what you're doing is some days off, some days on.
Yeah, the 2-day works. It's just as I get back into the swing of normal life. See, the thing with pain medication is it's not conducive to productivity. So it's one of those things where it's just as I get back to normal, it's just.
No, totally.
It's just, I've had to do it so many times. It's just.
Yeah. So some people do say that Suboxone or buprenorphine has much less of all of that.
Yeah.
It does have pain relieving characteristics. You would need a very low dose, but I think this is something I want you to research and to consider. at no point today I'm going to be like, you need to switch now.
Okay.
But I want you to look into it.
Okay.
Okay. And a lot of what you'll see is for opiate use disorder or addiction. But if you search it for pain,
Yeah.
you'll kind of get a lot of information about it. And it's just something that I think probably would work well for you. And it's going to help you avoid, right now you've got a great setup. You got this nice little alley-oop from us to LA. You've kind of got everything set up. But at any time, someone might die. You may not be able to get an appointment. Like, who knows what the future holds? I just want to put that in your knowledge basket so that way you can kind of be ready.
Okay, cool. I'll also look back at my medical records and see what we've done in the past.
And that's the other thing I'll say is, like, some people it doesn't work as well for. Some
Yeah.
people, what I would say is for your dose, I think you're going to be just fine. Like,
Yeah.
I think some people on the higher doses, it doesn't quite cross over.
Well, I mean, what's always been it's just basically always been those things. Like, when we do it, it's like he's always prescribed me, like, okay, like, if you need to, you can take 2 a day, but here's this for if you don't want to take 2 a day, like, if you're feeling like, oh, I can take 1. And so basically it just sort of, you end up doing, like, the first week where it's like a lesser one at the beginning of the day, one to help you sleep, and then the next week it's every other, you know what I mean, until you basically get to the end of it. I've tried to just go, we tried to just go from one to the other completely. My back was not very...
Suboxone usually not a problem for pain. Now, the other thing that I like about Suboxone is that the FDA's regulations are a little looser.
Okay.
And so you can get a month's supply plus 2 refills.
Okay.
So you can get basically, you don't have to get a doctor's prescription every month.
Yeah.
And so it just makes it a lot easier from patient perspective. And like, I think I didn't look super far back, but a lot of my patients, I'll often do, like, we're getting to the point where if I've known you for a year and you're doing really well, I'll see you once a year, and then I'll do 2 or 3 phone visits throughout the year.
Yeah.
And so something I want you to just look up and consider.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
I'll check it out.
Second thing, you're leaving in 50 days.
Yep.
What do you want me to prescribe you today in terms of the oxy?
I've been taking, whatchamacallit, just the same would be great, which is twice a day, so it's 60 pills.
Perfect.
Do you know what the milligram is on that?
5 milligrams.
Let me double check and just make sure that's right.
Yeah, I looked at your prior prescriptions, and it looks like for the last quite a while, it's been prescriptions of 5 milligrams.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. From what I see during your time with Dr. Goodwin, it's always been the 5 milligram oxys.
Yep, 5-325. Cool, just making sure.
And so I think that's totally reasonable. What I want to offer you is a couple of things.
Okay.
So the first is we'll have to refill you in a month.
Okay.
Just by virtue. If you start tapering, and
I'm not going to do that till next month.
Okay, perfect. So the other thing I would offer is for your LA transition, we will discuss this in a month.
Yeah.
But I think what I often will do is prescribe someone more just in case there's any issues during that transition.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And so what I would do is I would write you for something that says like 4 times a day.
Yeah.
So that way you have a 2-month supply
Okay.
during that like
Transition.
flip-flop time.
Yeah,
Now, I have some patients that I've said that to, and they've said, absolutely not. If I have extra, I'll run out fast. Like, you know what I mean? Some people just are like, I won't. We'll discuss in a month.
Okay.
But I want you to just think about what makes sense for you.
I mean, that would be ideal. It's like one of those things where it's like I said, it's just trying to explain back pain to somebody who's never had back pain is like sort of an impossibility.
Yeah.
So I need to give you like a new pharmacy to send that over to too. So give me 1 second here. I got to look it up. So basically, when I first started coming here, we had a lot of problems getting it filled.
Which again, this is part of the reason I like Suboxone, is because Suboxone much more available, much easier to find. Pharmacies are more likely to have it.
Yeah, and then so I mean, for the first like 3 months, I guess, maybe longer than that. It was just a shit show. And then we just started changing pharmacies every single time, which is sort of like
and especially with I didn't even think about your Adderall. Also.
So with